We're going to recreate this wobble bass in Serum. Let's break the sound down. So for the first stage, we're going to look at the oscillators in Serum. So we've got ourselves an initialized Serum patch here. And what we're going to do is look at oscillator A and oscillator B. So let's turn on both oscillators and we're going to apply basic shapes to both of them. Now if we turn the octave down twice on oscillator A and up one on oscillator B, we get this. Now let's just turn off the rand on both sides. And what we want to do is turn on this here, and we want to FM from B. And then what we can do now is turn off the level on oscillator B. And that gets us a cool sound. And now let's turn on the noise channel and let's just select an analog sound. So this is fine. And there we have the bass of the sound. So feel free to experiment with lots of different wavetables here, different octaves, things like that, and see what you can come up with. Now for stage 2, we're going to look at the LFO section. So that's this section down here. And because we're making a wobble sound, we want to make it wobble. So first what we're going to do is click this trigger button down here so that it repeats itself. Next what we're going to do is turn on this trip sound here so we can add different rate sounds to the wobble. And now what we're going to do is apply this to different parts of the track. Let's apply it to the noise. So if we play it now, get that sound. Now let's apply it to the FM. And we can also apply it to this level. And then we start to get a wobble sound. Now feel free to change the rate, so you could change it to like 1 of 4 like this. Or 1 of 8. Or you could even automate it throughout. So what you can do is click here, go up to here, and then click Browse Parameters. And then you can create an automation clip like this. And then you can change it depending on which part. So you could have it going like this into things like that, just by changing the automation here. You can also play around with this element, so you could have it going like this, for example. Or you could do something like this. And play around with the swing element of it, so it's not hitting directly in the quantize area. For example, so just play around with that. We're just going to keep it at the default triangle. So there you have the LFO setup. I've actually created 30 of these wobble basses along with over 100 more presets over on my website, arcnade.com. You can check out the preset packs there, or you can check out the Havoc production suite for drum and bass, which has just come out, link in the description. Moving on to stage 3, which is using the filters and the effects tab in Serum. So we're going to use the filter section here to begin with. So let's turn this on and make sure it's going through every element. So we want it to go through oscillator A here, oscillator B here, and then the noise channel here. Now let's pick one of the settings here. So we're going to go with BN12 in the multi section. We're just going to turn the cutoff down. We're going to turn the drive up so it looks like this. Let's listen to this now. So next we're going to go to the FX tab and we're going to go on to distortion here, and we're going to pick diode 1, and then we're going to turn the drive all the way up. But then we're going to turn the mix down, and then what we can do is apply this LFO to the mix here like this. And then what we can do is change this area here. So I can click post here, and then I can change this around to here, like this. So the distortion is only hitting around this range. Now let's add a compressor. So feel free to experiment with this. but this is just what I found sounded best for this particular sound. And then I've added a compressor in the multiband setting, and I've turned the threshold down and the gain up, and I've turned the mids down. Then finally what I've done is added another filter, this time on the LH6 setting, and then I've added this LFO again, held Control and Alt, and pressed it to get rid of it on both sides. And then I've just taken out this area here to get this grotty sounding wobble. And then what we can do is apply this to channel 21, which is in my FL Studio template that I've created, which is available in the Havoc pack. And then I can add it as a pattern. Then we get that crazy sound. So now let's move on to stage 4, which is going to be post-processing. So we're going to start with an OTT, which is pretty much what I always start with. And we're just going to turn the depth down on it. And the time a little bit. And then turn all this all the way up. So if you don't know what OTT is, it comes with Serum and you can download it for free. And it's just a multiband compressor. It basically goes hand in hand with any Serum preset. Next we're going to add a decimal 2 here. We're going to use the action movie setting just to give it a bit more oomph, and then we can add some trash 2, and what we can do is click this multiband setting and we can just change this to only hit a certain part of it. So for example, I could use this, and all I'm doing is hitting between 500 and 2.2. I can change this dry wet mix channel to see how much of it I want on it. So I can just do a tiny bit of multiband saturation on it there. And then I can add Camel Crusher finally on the British clean setting and just turn this down. I want to turn this down a little bit more. This is what it sounds like before. And this is what it sounds like after. For the post-processing, each plugin is only changing the sound a tiny bit, and that's what you want. You want lots and lots of processing, doing tiny tweaks to make the sound perfect. So for the 5th and final stage, what we're going to do is separate the sub and the wobble. So this is extremely important for wobble basses because you don't really want the sub to wobble. You want the sub to be a sustained bass, and this is just because it sounds better. It sounds really strange if you have like a really low end wobbling, whereas if you have it sustained with the wobble over the top, it just sounds way better. And you can listen to K9 Your Love as an example for why it sounds better. So let's start by EQing the sub out of the wobble. So we're going to go here and go to around about here. Now the sub is gone, and then we're just going to duplicate this to the sub channel, and we're going to go here and we're going to select high cut, and now we're going to create another Serum patch, and we're going to turn oscillator A off, turn oscillator B on, turn the octave down, and here we have our sub bass. We're going to put it into channel 28, and we're just going to duplicate it here. Now the sub bass isn't really popping through the mix yet, so let's sort that now. So let's add some effects. So let's add some distortion. Starting to hear it a bit more now. And let's add a compressor. And then let's turn this down. Now you can hear that pretty clearly in the mix. So let's play this with the drums. And then we have my simple 5-stage way of creating a wobble bass. Let me know in the comments what you found helpful and what tutorials you'd like to see from me in the future. And make sure to check out my website, arcnade.com. Lots of Serum presets, sample packs and production suites to get your hands on. And I'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.